Chapter 51, Arms Trade, King of Land Dragons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Half a month later, things got tense in the Rhine region. A big copper mine was up for grabs, and every powerful noble wanted a piece. Too many cooks in the kitchen meant a few skirmishes broke out, but nobody could claim it. So, to improve their odds, some nobles secretly started beefing up their armies, throwing money around like it was nothing. After all, this wasn't just any mine. We're talking about nearly 1 million in copper ore every year. Keep that up for 20, 30 years, and you're set. With that kind of cash on the line, the money they were spending now was chump change. This kicked off a whole new trend. If you wanted the mine, you had to play the same game. So, everyone started an arms race. Weapon prices in the Rhine region shot through the roof. Jackpot. Rennes saw a golden opportunity. He'd become an arms dealer, at least for a while. He remembered that wind chaser crossbow blueprint he'd gotten from Jessica's kid. If he could start cranking those out, he'd make a killing. The wind chaser crossbow wasn't exactly high-tech. Just a basic magical weapon, no more than 6 magic patterns to draw. The Habsburg family armor could handle that easily. After blowing through a few practice runs worth tens of thousands in gold, they finally got it. First wind chaser crossbow, success. Wind chaser crossbow. Standard grade weapon. Durability, 12 times tougher than regular iron. Passive effect, wind energy storage, absorbs magic crystal energy and converts it to wind element storage. Max, 100 points. Triggerable magic, wind chaser arrow, costs 5 wind element points per shot. Not bad at all. A full charge meant 20 wind-powered energy arrows. For a standard grade weapon, this thing was top tier. And if you got enough of them together, the firepower was insane. Seeing the specs just boosted Rennes' confidence. With the way things were in the Rhine region, these wind chaser crossbows would be flying off the shelves. And he was right. Rennes made 10 of them and slapped a crazy price tag on each, 5,000 gold. Cost him 500 per unit. They sold out in a heartbeat. To those in the know, the 10 wind chaser crossbows lived up to the hype. In one battle over the mine, a hail of those rapid-fire, armor-piercing arrows tore through the enemy lines. It basically won the fight for the user. Word got around fast. Suddenly, every noble trying to build up their army wanted wind chaser crossbows. Demand was through the roof. Nobles were showing up at the Habsburg estate, waiving deposits and begging for a place on the waiting list. How could he refuse? In less than 2 weeks, Rennes had raked in over 300,000 gold and the numbers just kept climbing. No wonder Uncle Sam loves selling weapons so much, Rennes thought. There's serious money in the arms trade. Of course, he knew the wind chaser crossbow gravy train wouldn't last forever. Once the battle for the copper mine was over, the arms market would dry up, but that didn't mean he couldn't make a killing while it lasted. Besides the arms business, things were generally looking up. Several of Rennes' married sons and daughters had popped out their second kid. The kids weren't exactly super talented, but they still gave Rennes an extra 8 years of fighting spirit cultivation. Plus, he got a letter from his daughter Hilda, the one who joined the Lionheart Legion. She was about to break through to the 7th rank. Barring any screw-ups, the Habsburg family would have another senior knight by the end of the year. Fast forward 2 months, the arms race had really cranked up the intensity of the copper mine battle. You could hear the sounds of fighting all the time, even out near the monster mountains. Estimates said at least tens of thousands of soldiers had died, but the nobles? Not a single one. They were all playing nice with each other. They only cared about winning, not about dying. Even if you got captured, you just paid a ransom and went home. No real danger. As time went on, more and more nobles dropped out of the running. Finally, after about a week, there was a winner. It was Count Bereg, the guy who wanted Rennes to partner with him, and his allies. They wasted no time. They cleared the monsters around the mine, built roads, dug tunnels. The first batch of copper ore came out, and wealthy mining guys from all over started showing up. Count Bereg and his buddies were about to make a fortune, but Rennes did even better. At least in the short term, those 2 months of arms dealing had earned him nearly 2 million gold. Easy money. Time flew. 3 months later, winter had hit the Roland continent. The temperature was dropping, and snowflakes were falling. Rennes was chilling in the garden with his wives, enjoying the snow, when he got a visitor. It was Count Barak. "Count Barak. Thought you were busy with the copper mine," Rennes said with a smile, welcoming him into the living room and offering some hot tea. "What brings you here?" Count Barak looked pretty grim. "I need your help, Count Rennes." "Oh. What's up?" Rennes asked, curious. "A few days ago, dozens of earth dragons invaded the mine, right inside the monster mountains. My guys took a beating. I'm hoping Count Rennes can lend a hand and take care of these dragons." Barak filled him in. "Dozens of earth-walking dragons?" Rennes frowned. "These weren't your average magical critters. They were advanced earth-type monsters with a little brass dragon blood in them, full-grown. They could be 7th rank or higher. If they had a strong bloodline and lived long enough, they could even hit 10th rank and become the king of the earth-walking dragons, and there were dozens of them. That probably meant there was a king leading them, someone at least 10th rank, Rennes asked, and Barak confirmed it. Yep, a king leading the pack, and he was 12th rank. Even if the Sika family and their allies could wipe out the dragons, it would cost them big time. They might end up so weak that some other noble could just waltz in and take the mine. That's why Barak was begging for help. If Count Rennes is willing to help, the Sika family will give the Habsburg family 20% of the mine profits. Barak didn't want Rennes to say no, so he laid out his offer. Rennes couldn't help but be tempted. 20% of the profits meant at least 200,000 gold every year, maybe even more, and that could go on for decades. Barak was making a serious offer. "Count Barak, you're laying it on pretty thick. I can't refuse. I'm in." Rennes didn't need the money, but who turns down free cash? He didn't have to fight any nobles, just take out some monsters and rake in the dough. Easy decision. Barak perked up. With Rennes, the Godslayer Knight, on the job, the problem was pretty much solved. They worked out the details, and Barak left the Habsburg manor with a smile on his face. Chapter 52 Biochemical Weapons, Smoky Dragons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day, after settling his family affairs, Rennes set out with 20 guards, riding swift horses towards Loc, the city controlled by the Sika family. According to their plan, Rennes was to handle the Earth Dragon King, while the Sika family, with help from the Habs, would take care of the other Earth Dragons. Before heading to the Warcraft Mountains, Rennes needed to meet with Boleg. After a few hours of travel, Rennes and his men arrived at the Sika family estate. Count Boleg had been waiting. After a quick hello, Boleg got right to it, gathering his elite guards and heading out with Rennes. The sooner they wiped out the Earth Dragon tribe, the sooner they could reopen the copper mine. Every day the mine was shut down meant a loss of tens of thousands of gold coins. To make hauling or easier, the Sika family had built a road straight to the Warcraft Mountains. The group followed it. The monsters along the road had already been cleared out by the Sika family. There weren't many left, and with Rennes and his large group, they didn't dare cause trouble. After about an hour, they arrived near the big copper mine. Instead of charging in, Rennes sent 3 guards with Shadow Chi skills to scout things out. The scouts reported that dozens of earth dragons were scattered throughout the interconnected mine tunnels, chomping on copper ore. "Count Rennes, let's go get M." Hearing that the earth dragons were eating his hard-earned ore, Barakton was heartbroken. He wanted to rush in and kill them all. "Hold up," Rennes said, stopping him. Now wasn't the right time. The mine's layout favored the earth-attuned dragons. In those tight tunnels, they could easily skewer anyone with their earth spike magic. While Rennes wasn't worried about himself, he was concerned about the mine's stability. A powerful attack could collapse the whole thing, burying everyone. The best approach was to lure the dragons out before attacking. Rennes had a point, and Barakton, not one to argue, agreed. They quickly came up with a plan to draw the dragons out. Under their orders, dozens of guards ran to the mine entrance and started taunting the dragons inside. But these earth dragons, being intelligent magical beasts, saw right through the trick. They ignored the guards and kept munching on copper ore, paying no attention to the taunts. "Now what?" Barakton asked, getting anxious. He felt like the dragons were eating his flesh and drinking his blood. Every bite meant a loss of gold coins. Dozens of large earth dragons feasting in the mine meant staggering losses that made him sick to think about. If he wasn't thinking clearly, he would have ordered an all-out attack. Let's use smoke, Rennes suggested after a moment. The air didn't circulate well in the mine, so smoke would be perfect. Even better if they added something extra to the smoke. Then, the dragons couldn't just hide in the mine. That's a good idea, Boleg said, his eyes lighting up. Wet wood would make thick smoke. Rennes and his team got to work, gathering wood and chopping down trees for fuel, but they still had a problem: how to spice up the smoke. Plain smoke wouldn't be enough to bother the dragons. Rennes led his men to find something suitable nearby. Finally, they found what they were looking for: the stink glands of the strong acid skunk, an intermediate-level monster. The burning stink glands smelled like a bioweapon, several times worse than feces. Even with Do-Chi protecting their mouths and noses, Rennes and his men almost threw up, and that was in the open air. In the semi-sealed environment of the mine, the stench would be exponentially worse. After killing more than 10 strong acid skunks and taking their glands, they were ready. Rennes and his group built a bonfire outside the mine. Hiss. Hiss. The flames roared, and a cloud of incredibly foul smoke rose up. Rennes used wind magic to control the airflow, pushing the smoke into the mine. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, the mine was now a paradise filled with smoke. You couldn't see anything inside. After another 3 minutes, Rennes and the others could hear painful roars coming from inside. The enhanced smoke was working. Chapter 53, Slaying the Earth Dragon King. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Crank up the firepower. Rennes didn't hesitate, barking out the order the moment he heard the earth dragon's agonizing roars echoing from inside the mine. Hearing him, the guards surrounding the entrance immediately piled on more wood, feeding the flames. They also tossed in the remaining enchantment materials, the incredibly pungent skunk glands, right into the heart of the bonfire. Whoosh. 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 Fueled by the extra wood, the bonfire blazed even higher. A thick, acrid smoke choked the air inside the mine. It was the last straw. Roar. 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 Seconds later, dozens of earth dragons, unable to withstand the nauseating stench, stampeded out of the mine, desperate for fresh air. Rennes didn't even need to give the order. The guards, fully prepared, swarmed the fleeing beasts. These weren't just any guards. They were carefully selected elites from both Rennes and Boreg's families. Each possessed at least intermediate-level abilities. Some were even advanced, combined with the armor-piercing ballistae specifically designed to take down high-level magical beasts. It was a slaughter. Before they knew what hit them, over a dozen earth dragons lay dead in pools of their own blood. But the remaining earth dragons finally caught on. They channeled their earth magic, conjuring layers of rock armor around themselves for protection, now shielded by granite-hard defenses. The armor-piercing ballistae that could previously punch right through them were far less effective, no longer posing a lethal threat. Roar. Regrouping, more than 20 earth dragons, eyes burning with rage, charged the nearest guards. They wanted to crush the humans and avenge their fallen kin. The ground trembled as the multi-ton behemoths thundered forward. Get out of the way. Boreg's face paled as he shouted the command. The guards responded instantly, channeling their inner power to move with lightning speed, dodging the Earth Dragon's onslaught while Boreg directed the defense. Rennes had his own target, the Earth Dragon King. As the ruler of its kind, the Dragon King dwarfed its subjects, standing 3 times their size. Its hide gleamed like polished brass. Its defenses were clearly immense. Perhaps due to its size, the Dragon King was the last to emerge from the mine. Storm slash. Seeing his chance, Rennes didn't hesitate. He poured his energy into his storm greatsword. He unleashed a devastating blow aimed at the Dragon King. Whoosh. 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 A razor-thin crescent of deep blue energy, crackling with power, hurtled toward the massive beast. It was a simple strike, but one that could cleave a 10-meter slab of granite. Unprotected, the Dragon King would be cut down in a single blow, despite its immense durability. Roar. Sensing mortal danger, the Dragon King instinctively activated its innate magic, Earth God Shield. It summoned multiple earth and yellow energy shields, radiating a heavy, grounding aura, to intercept the attack. The Earth God Shield, a defensive spell unique to Dragon Kings who reached the 10th rank, was incredibly strong, comparable to 10-meter thick steel alloy. Even Rennes' Storm Slash, with its immense cutting power, couldn't break through it. Roar. Enraged at narrowly escaping death, the Dragon King launched a furious counterattack. Without warning, meter-long spikes erupted from the ground, aimed to impale Rennes, but the attacks proved futile. Using the Gale Step, Rennes moved with impossible speed, his body blurring as he dodged the deadly protrusions. Let's not be rude and only receive. Let me try out the results of my magic training. Now that he thought about it, since becoming a mage knight, he hadn't used magic in combat. Now, facing a tough opponent, it was a good opportunity to try it out. Swamp Art. Thanks to his mage knight abilities, Rennes could cast spells instantly, bypassing the usual incantations. Magic surged through him, outlining a complex spell pattern. The next second, glug. 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 The ground around the Dragon King softened, turning into a muddy swamp. The massive creature began to sink into the mire, but the Dragon King reacted quickly. Sensing the danger, it cast a petrification spell, solidifying the surrounding swamp. Earth Spirit Restraint. Explosive Fireball. Seeing Swamp Art fail, Rennes immediately followed up with 2 more spells. The earth itself seemed to come alive, twisting and coiling. Chains of mud, like living serpents, instantly wrapped around the Dragon King, immobilizing it. Then, more than a dozen blue fireballs, packed with explosive energy, rained down on the trapped beast. Boom. 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 The explosions echoed through the air, showering the area with fire. The Dragon King roared in agony as it staggered out of the flames, its body covered in deep burns, but despite the injuries, it still lived. Clearly, this combined magical assault wasn't enough to significantly threaten the Dragon King's impressive defenses. My magic proficiency is still too weak. Using magic alone against equally powerful opponents is difficult. At most, it can only play a supporting role. Seeing this, Rennes had a better understanding of his magical abilities. The magic test was complete. He didn't want to waste any more time. Using a mind-bending magic, he briefly controlled the Earth Dragon King's movements. Then, using the 6-star battle technique, Void Charge, he quickly charged forward. Finally, he used a whirlwind fierce whoosh. The wind swirled as the great sword sliced through the air. Just as the Earth Dragon King broke free from the magic spell, its head was severed. The whole ordeal took only a second. This Earth Dragon King, a powerful 12th rank monster, had no ability to fight back. With the Earth Dragon King dead, the rest was simple. 5 minutes later, Bereg and the others, with Rennes' help, had successfully encircled and eliminated the remaining Earth Dragons. The Earth Dragon group was completely wiped out. Count Rennes, I really owe you one. Having killed the Earth Dragons, Bereg thanked Rennes with a smile. No need to be polite. Rennes waved his hand dismissively. Doing business for money is only natural, but Bereg saw it differently. To express his gratitude, he planned to throw a celebratory banquet specifically for Rennes, but Rennes politely declined. There's no point in having a banquet, it's better to go home early and spend time with his wife and children. He cuts off all the valuable parts from the dozens of Earth Dragons. After dividing the spoils, Rennes leads his men and rushes towards the direction of Eagle Town. It seems that I need to find another way to get closer to Count Rennes. Watching Rennes and the others leave, Bereg thinks to himself. The reason he thinks this way is because Rennes showed such great strength in this operation to exterminate the Earth Dragon group, killing a 12th rank Earth Dragon without any injuries. He is surely the most powerful figure in the Rhine region. With such a powerful individual, he naturally has to make every effort to get closer to him. Chapter 54 Great Development of the Territory, Flying Combat Skills, Wind and Thunder Wings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Another 3 months flew by. Thanks to Rennes' dedicated attention, Florina, Katie, and Lifa were all pregnant. Then, before we knew it, Jessica, Layla, Murphy, Betty, and Charlene were also showing. As for Janice, Rennes was putting in the effort as always, but she just wasn't conceiving. Rennes suspected that it might be due to Janice having given birth so many times, combined with her age, making it difficult. Janice still looked youthful and charming, but that was because of the life fruit he'd given her, which extended her lifespan by 30 years, plus good self-care. The truth was, Janice would be 50 in 2 years, so a decline in fertility was normal. Still, to be sure there weren't other issues, Rennes had Betty, a professional therapist, examine her. The results showed Janice's physical condition was excellent. The only problem was that, due to her age, her egg activity had significantly decreased, making pregnancy very difficult. Naturally, Janice wasn't thrilled with this news. But denial wouldn't change anything. It was a normal physiological reaction. Unless her lifespan was significantly extended, it would be hard to reverse. Seeing his wife's sadness, Rennes made a point of spending quality time with Janice. With his support, she quickly came to terms with it. She already had over 10 kids, so if she couldn't have any more, so be it. After all, the other wives could still have children and carry on the Habsburg line. For years, she'd either been pregnant or trying to get pregnant. It was time for a break. Once she fully understood, Janice felt a sense of relief. However, not having children meant she had too much free time, which she wasn't used to. Wanting to contribute to her husband in other ways, Janice decided to dedicate more time to meditation, aiming to become a powerful magician. Who knows what she was thinking? Seeing Janice back to her old self, Rennes threw himself back into his projects. With plenty of funds, his territory development plan was more than halfway done. The 2 towns that had started construction first and received the most investment would be finished in 3 months, and once the towns were completed, people needed to live in them, since empty towns generated no value. So, Rennes had been busy recruiting new residents. However, these 2 towns were quite large and needed at least 200,000 people to function. Getting that many people wasn't easy. The previous chaos had caused a sharp decline in the Rhine region's population, making it hard to find refugees. As for recruiting people from other nobles' territories, that was easier to do on a small scale. With his status and power, other nobles would likely oblige. But no noble would agree to tens of thousands. With no other choice, Rennes decided to borrow people from other nobles while also partnering with merchants, asking them to recruit refugees and bring them back to the Rhine region when they traded elsewhere. Rennes offered a hefty 1 gold coin for each healthy refugee. The merchants were naturally thrilled with this opportunity, since they could easily make extra profit. 5 months later, after spending 370,000 gold coins, Rennes successfully acquired hundreds of thousands of new settlers. They were assigned to the 2 newly completed towns based on their skills and age, ready to start a new life. Of course, the houses and food Rennes provided weren't free. The new settlers had to work hard to repay the debt in order to truly own their homes. With enough settlers, the 2 new towns immediately became lively, getting on the right track. Rennes named them Harvest City and Blue Moon City, respectively. He had different plans and expectations for each town. Harvest City was built on a plain and was mainly responsible for developing agriculture to ensure the territory was self-sufficient in food. Blue Moon City, on the other hand, was built near Blue Moon Lake. The lake was large, with abundant water and fish, so Rennes positioned it as a fishing hub, developing aquaculture to provide various types of fish for the territory. This was just the initial plan. If other, more profitable development opportunities arose, he'd definitely make adjustments. Amid the busy development of the territory, another 3 months passed. Florina, who was the first to get pregnant, was now in labor. That morning, Rennes, Janice, and the others waited anxiously outside the delivery room. They could hear Florina's cries of pain. About 10 minutes later, they heard a baby's loud cry from inside the room, detected the birth of the host's 51st child. Magical aptitude, high, fighting spirit aptitude, medium, evaluation, silver level. Reward, 30 years of fighting spirit cultivation. Born from the same mother, this child clearly wasn't as good as his genius brother. He hadn't inherited the awakened spirit bloodline, and his strongest magical aptitude was only high level. Still, compared to most, this aptitude was excellent. As for the system reward, Rennes was somewhat disappointed. He only got the minimum cultivation reward, which felt like giving a handout to a beggar. Especially since this was a silver level child. Looks like my luck ran out when I had a golden level child last time, he sighed, before accepting the reward. the system's cultivation reward was based on his own aptitude. Right now, he had a high fighting spirit aptitude, so the 30 years of fighting spirit cultivation was much higher in quality than when he had a medium fighting spirit aptitude. After absorbing it all, Rennes felt that the liquid fighting spirit in his Dantian had increased by about 10%. However, he was still far from breaking through the 13th rank bottleneck. With my current high fighting spirit aptitude, it'll probably take over 200 years of fighting spirit cultivation to qualify for breaking through to a 13th rank Sky Knight. And if I want to overflow with power and achieve a natural breakthrough, it'll take even more. Rennes did the math in his head. It would be impossible for him to break through to Sky Knight in his lifetime through diligent cultivation alone. Fortunately, he had the system to help him cheat. After Florina finished giving birth, Lifa and Katie also gave birth to children for Rennes the following week, detected the birth of the host's 52nd child. Magical aptitude, medium, fighting spirit aptitude, high, evaluation, silver level. Reward, 30 years of fighting spirit cultivation, 10 years of magic cultivation. Detected the birth of the host's 53rd child. Magical aptitude, high, fighting spirit aptitude, high, evaluation, silver level. Reward, 30 years of fighting spirit cultivation, 5-star flying combat technique, wind and thunder double wings. Chapter 55, The Legendary Master, the father-in-law came to the door. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Detected the birth of host's 52nd child. Magical aptitude, average. Fighting spirit aptitude, high. Rating, silver. Reward, 30 years of fighting spirit cultivation, 10 years of magic cultivation, detected the birth of host's 53rd child. Magical aptitude, high. Fighting spirit aptitude, high. Rating, silver. Reward, 30 years of fighting spirit cultivation, 5-star flying combat technique, wind and thunder twin wings, not bad, these two are pretty good, silver rated. What really surprised Rennes was the flying combat technique. See, before becoming a Sky Knight, there were only two ways to fly, one was a flying mount, and the other was a flying combat technique. Neither was easy. Flying mounts were usually high-level magical beasts, hard to capture and tame. Flying combat techniques were even rarer than flying mounts, so most knights couldn't fly until they became Sky Knights, and everyone knows how important flying is. Air superiority gives you a huge advantage that makes a 5-star flying combat technique incredibly valuable. Claim wind and thunder twin wings. Rennes couldn't wait, thinking it, with this, he wouldn't be grounded anymore. He could even take on a Sky Knight if a legendary profession and a flying combat technique couldn't let him punch above his weight. He might as well give up now. The knowledge of wind and thunder twin wings flooded his mind. He started practicing. With his strong cultivation, he quickly got the hang of it. He condensed a pair of agile fighting spirit wings on his back, purplish blue, made of wind and thunder. They looked awesome. A gentle flap made him feel lighter, like he was floating. Time to test these out. Making sure the wings matched the system info, Rennes was eager to fly. Made of fighting spirit, the wings were easy to control. He went into the garden. Rennes controlled the wings, flapping them fast. Whoosh! 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 A strong wind kicked up. Rennes became a blur, shooting into the sky. 150 feet. 300 feet. 450 feet. In less than a minute, Rennes was over 3,000 feet up, and he wasn't even used to flying or using the wings to their full potential. He decided to test their max speed. Rennes activated the wind and thunder wings fully. Whoosh! He turned into purple-blue lightning, gone in an instant. 10 minutes later, Rennes appeared 6 miles away. Max speed is about 150 feet per second. Estimating his speed, Rennes was very happy. That was fast, almost like a bullet train, and it would only get faster as he improved. Happy with flying, Rennes went back to Habs Manor. He also claimed the other rewards. The 2 silver-rated heirs gave him 60 years of cultivation and 10 years of magic cultivation. He absorbed it all. Rennes' fighting spirit increased by about 20%, and his magic by 30%. He was getting closer to breaking through, especially his magic. He was close to reaching The 8th rank, the rapid progress excited Rennes. At this rate, I might break through to legendary in a few years and be the first legendary master in the Kingdom of Lance. Rennes thought, pleased. 2 weeks later, afternoon, Rennes was having tea in the garden with his wives. Ivan, the butler, came quickly. Lord Rennes, Lord Igor, the head of the Yark Baron family, is here to see you. Father's here. Jessica spoke before Rennes could. She was surprised, she hadn't seen her father in years, she missed him. Come with me. Seeing Jessica's reaction, Rennes smiled. I'll pass. Jessica thought for a moment and refused. She didn't know if her father's visit was for something important. It wasn't her place to be there, she could see him later. Understanding, Rennes didn't say anything. He followed the butler to the mansion. In the reception room, Rennes saw an older man in purple noble clothes. It was his father-in-law, Igor. But, because he outranked Igor, and because Jessica wasn't his official wife, he didn't have to call him father, but could use his name and title. Viscount Igor, what brings you here? Rennes actually admired his father-in-law. 10 years ago he had participated in a border war to get a higher title and he survived the fighting. He earned merits and became a viscount. It wasn't as impressive as Rennes' rise, but it was still fast. His achievements and courage were remarkable. Well, when the Yark family was developing a new territory, we found a medium-sized black rock mine, but there's a tribe of rock goblins living nearby. We can't take them on our own. So, I'm asking Count Rennes to buy some Windchaser crossbows. Igor explained, goblins were weak monsters. Even a first-tier warrior could kill a bunch, but rock goblins were different, mutated. They had stone skin, giant strength, and stone spear. They could reach the 3rd tier as adults, the best could even reach mid-tier. A medium-sized tribe would have at least 100 adult goblins. The Yark family was new and didn't have much to fall back on. Fighting them head-on would be devastating. That's why, he came to the Habuz family, hoping to buy Windchaser crossbows to strengthen his family and reduce losses when they dealt with the rock goblins. Chapter 56 Genius Knight, Silver Heir gets married. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You got it. How many do you need? Rennes, understanding what his father-in-law was getting at, readily agreed. 50. I'm willing to pay 4,000 gold coins each. Honestly, that's not a bad price. Before, the Windchaser crossbow could fetch a price of over 10,000 gold coins apiece, but that was because of unusual circumstances. The demand for weapons, especially high-quality ones, was through the roof. There were plenty of people ready to throw money at it. Now, things are back to normal. The price of the Windchaser crossbow can't stay that high, so, Rennes had no problem with the offer. Then, Igor added, payment will be made after we get the Black Rock mine up and running. He didn't really have a choice. The Yark family had sunk all their savings into building the new territory. They were strapped for cash. Hearing Igor's explanation, Rennes couldn't help but feel a little awkward. Buying weapons on credit? If it were anyone else, he'd have shown them the door, but this was his father-in-law. Their families were allied through marriage. He couldn't just refuse. After thinking it over, Rennes finally agreed. All right. But the bill has to be settled within 6 months. Deal. Igor agreed without hesitation. After finalizing the deal, Jessica joined them and caught up with Igor. Father and daughter chatted, sharing updates on their lives. They even had lunch together. That afternoon, Rennes had already gathered the 50 Windchaser crossbows that Igor needed. Normally, production wouldn't be that fast, but these were all items he pulled from his existing stock in the armory. With this batch of Windchaser crossbows worth 200,000 gold coins, Igor left Hab's manor with a satisfied grin. A month later, Hab's manor was buzzing with excitement. Rennes' 7th child, and also his first silver-level heir, Alec Habs, was getting married. As the oldest silver-level heir, Alec was 25 years old. Under Rennes' guidance, Alec had been practicing dragon fighting chi since he was a kid, making him incredibly strong. He was currently a 6th rank knight. It was practically guaranteed he'd break through to the 7th rank and become an advanced knight. There was even a good chance he'd be promoted to a great earth knight. Alec had a reputation as a seriously talented knight in the Rhine region. People believed Alec perfectly inherited his father Rennes' talent for fighting chi. As a young, promising count's son, he was a hot commodity among the nobles looking for a good marriage match. Ever since Alec turned 18, Rennes had been flooded with marriage proposals from other nobles. Many beautiful noble girls who admired Alec had even come to visit, but Alec was always focused on his fighting chi training and was a late bloomer when it came to romance. Now, he'd finally found a girl he liked and was ready to settle down, and get this, Alec's bride-to-be was no ordinary girl. It was Kaelin, the second daughter of the Harley Count. They met at a noble banquet, love at first sight. Soon after, they started talking about marriage. On this day, the guards and maids of Habs Manor were hustling and bustling, setting up the wedding venue. Where'd Alec run off to? Janice was getting a little stressed. If the groom went missing on his wedding day, it'd be a disaster. Relax, sis. Alec's not lost. He just took off in a hurry, said he wanted to personally pick up the bride from the Harley family. Jessica and the other girls replied with a smile. Janice immediately relaxed. Time flies. It feels like just yesterday, Alec was a little kid. Now he's starting his own family. Even though it wasn't the first time organizing a wedding for one of his kids, it still made Rennes feel a little sentimental. It seemed like just yesterday he'd returned home after retiring and inheriting the family business. Now, he was already a grandfather. You're right. They grow up so fast. Hearing her husband's words, Janice also felt a little dreamy. Alec was like a part of her. Now, he'd grown into a handsome young man. Actually, it wasn't just Alec. His 8th, 9th, and 10th children had also found suitable partners. They were all expected to get married this year. As for his eldest, Red, who had already started his own family, he was now the father of several kids. Red had the most. With 8 in total, 6 boys and 2 girls. Most of them weren't particularly talented. Except for one boy who had a bronze-level aptitude with average fighting spirit talent. These 8 children had provided Rennes with 8.5 years of fighting spirit cultivation. Along with the children born from his other partners, Rennes had gained a total of 15 years of fighting spirit cultivation over the years. And from the looks of things, as more and more children started families, these extra income rewards would keep growing rapidly. The Habs family is thriving. Thinking of this, Rennes felt a sense of accomplishment. After all, this was the kingdom he'd built with his own 2 hands. There used to be only one direct descendant of the Habs family left. Through his hard work and dedication, today, the Habs family had countless direct descendants. Chapter 57, The Silver Dragon Girl Arriving Suddenly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Besides Alex getting hitched, we've got more good news. It's about Alex's older sister, Hilda, the one Rennes personally sent to the Lion Legion way back when. Just sent word that she's hit 7th rank and is now a senior warrior. She also got promoted to Knight Commander, so she's in charge of 10 Knight squads, leading 100 Knights in total. That's a major achievement compared to what the other kids are up to. But here's the thing. Hilda's almost 30 and still hasn't shown any interest in settling down. She inherited the good looks from Rennes and Janice, so she's gorgeous and never lacks for admirers in the Legion. But Hilda's focused on her dream of becoming a top general, so she's always training and studying tactics, ignoring anyone who comes on to her. Rennes isn't too thrilled with her choices. Leading one of the Kingdom of Lance's elite legions requires serious Earth Knight skills. And Hilda's fighting spirit is just average. She'd need some kind of miracle to break through the 10th level. At best, she might become a Legion commander someday. Rennes was shaking his head, sighing, when the butler showed up. Master Alex back. And the Harleys are here too. That kid finally made it, Rennes said. He grabbed the girls, and they headed over. After all, his future in-laws were here, had to greet them. They got to the entrance and saw Alec walking in with a sweet-looking girl. Behind them was Count Cheek, the head of the Harley family. Dad, Mom, everyone. Alex saw Rennes and the others and immediately greeted them. The girl beside him gave them a polite greeting too. So you're Kaimlin. You're beautiful. No wonder my son's so smitten, that little rascal. Janice was thrilled to meet her son's fiancée and started chatting with her right away. Meanwhile, Rennes caught up with the Count. The two families were getting along great. The vibe was super friendly. Later that afternoon, the wedding was about to start. The invited nobles showed up, one after another, offering congratulations and bringing gifts. But then, while Rennes was playing host, the magic lock pinged him. wore mist, something powerful, level 10 or higher, had snuck into the mansion. Who is this and what do they want? Ren's face went serious. He couldn't take any chances, this was his son's big day, he didn't want any trouble, but if someone was trying to mess things up, he'd make them regret it. Using the magic lock, Ren quickly found the unknown presence. It was a delicate girl in a silver princess dress. She was pigging out on the food, she was eating like a wild animal, but somehow she was doing it with grace. She's not human. Ren quickly figured it out, being a golden dragon descendant, he could feel a strong dragon aura coming from her. She was a purebred metallic dragon and judging by her aura, probably a silver dragon. Looks like we have a surprise guest. Realizing who she was, Ren felt a little better. Unlike the 5-color dragons, who were all about destruction, silver dragons are usually pretty decent. They wouldn't cause problems without a reason. This silver dragon girl had used magic to disguise herself as a human, probably just out of curiosity. She just wanted to grab a bite of some good food even if she was looking for trouble. He was confident he could handle it. Silver dragons get super strong when they grow up, but this girl was still young. She was probably only as strong as a sky knight. He had nothing to worry about. What are you staring at? Never seen anyone eat before. The silver dragon girl, who was busy stuffing her face, seemed to feel a little guilty and embarrassed when she caught Ren looking at her. She took one last bite, then, she looked up and glared at him. She looked fierce, but also kind of cute. I own this place. What's your name? Who are you with? Seeing how adorable she was, Ren decided not to blow her cover and pretended he didn't know anything. I'm Angelina, the second daughter of the Brook family. She made up a name and a story. I don't remember seeing anyone like you from the Brook family, Ren said, staring at her suspiciously. Angelina, who already felt bad about sneaking in, panicked. Had he figured her out? What should she do? Should she try to explain, or just bolt? Forget it. It's my son's wedding today, and everyone's a guest. As long as you're not causing trouble. Eat all you want. Ren casually patted the little silver dragon girl's head and walked away. The silver dragon girl was totally confused. The nerve of these humans. Touching my head. Ren was gone before Angelina got her act together, her face red with anger. To a proud dragon, touching their head is a major insult, but in the end, Angelina held back. After all, Ren didn't know she was a dragon. She figured he didn't know any better. Besides, she'd snuck in and was getting away with it. She decided to let it slide. She made a mental note to remember Ren, the head rubber. Angelina went back to her food. Ren had no idea what she was thinking. He was just happy he might have befriended a dragon. Chapter 58 Murloc Attack, the Vanguard of Counterattacking the Mainland. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After scratching the dragon's head, Ren, buzzing with excitement, continued playing host to his guests. His son was getting married, and as his father, being there was non-negotiable. Especially with all these high-ranking nobles showing up. He had to greet them properly. Anything less would be rude, and they might think he was slighting them. Hours passed. Finally, all the guests arrived, and the wedding kicked off in style, complete with a live band. Alex and Camille, the happy couple, made their way to the center of the stage. With a priest from the Church of Love as witness, they exchanged vows and rings, and just like that, Alex and Camille were officially husband and wife. Next came the receiving line, where the newlyweds toasted each guest and soaked up all the good wishes. The party kept going all day long. When it finally wrapped up, Alex and Camille moved out of Habs Manor into their own place just outside Eagle Town, a new house Ren had set up for his son. Even though Alex was still a Habs, he was married now. He and his wife needed their space. Besides, their new house was just a stone's throw from Habs Manor, so popping back for a visit was a piece of cake. With the wedding behind him, Ren went looking for the silver dragon girl, only to find she'd snuck off. No big deal. He figured she was probably just after the free grub, and now that the party was over, she'd made like a bandit. Life went back to normal for Ren. He spent his days dealing with local development, hanging out with his wife, and helping his kids with their homework. It was a good life. Another 3 months zipped by. Ren urban development plan was still moving full steam ahead. 2 of the 6 new towns were up and running, and things were looking good. They were already churning out tons of food and fish, giving Eagle's domain a real boost. At this rate, they'd have 2 more towns done by next month, which would push the whole territory forward even more, but Rennes didn't have much time to celebrate. He got some bad news this morning. Trouble in Blue Moon City. In the dead of night, thousands of fish people had swarmed Blue Moon Lake and trashed the Blue Moon City fishery, wrecking all 12 of the brand new facilities. Where did these fish people even come from? Rennes was ticked off, but also confused. Ever since they got their butts kicked 1,000 years ago, the fish people had retreated into the sea. You hardly ever saw them around these parts anymore. And if you did, they were usually holed up in some swamp where nobody went. So, how did a whole bunch of them suddenly show up near Blue Moon Lake? Scratching his head, Rennes decided he needed to get down to Blue Moon City, sort things out, and get to the bottom of this. After dealing with some odds and ends and letting his wives know he'd be out of town for a bit, Rennes grabbed his night guards and hit the road to Blue Moon Lake. Blue Moon Lake wasn't far from Eagle's domain, just about 25 miles. A day's ride, tops. Rennes and his crew rolled into Blue Moon City without a hitch. The lord of Blue Moon City was Habs, Rennes' 10th kid and 2nd bronze-level offspring. He was so-so at martial chi and magic, but Rennes had been working with him since he was a kid. Now, at 23, Cavalry was a rank 4 magic swordsman. He was a smart cookie and kept a cool head, which is why Rennes thought he'd be a good lord for Blue Moon City. As soon as Cavalry heard his dad was here, he rushed out to greet him. Inside the Blue Moon City Lord's mansion reception hall. "Father, I'm sorry to let you down," Cavalry said, looking down at the floor. He'd really screwed the pooch. Those 12 new fishing grounds were a total loss. No doubt about it, this was going to throw Blue Moon City's development plan way off course, not to mention cost a boatload of gold to rebuild. It was just an accident, nothing to do with you. No need to beat yourself up. Rennes waved it off. He thought Cavalry was doing a bang-up job as Lord. Blue Moon City had been humming along for the last couple of years under his watch. As for the fish people showing up, that was a total curveball. Nobody could have seen that coming. After telling his son to cheer up, Rennes started asking about the fish people. From what we've pieced together, the attack was carried out by some unknown fish people tribe, numbering about 5,000. Take out the old folks and kids, and you're looking at around 1,000 fish people warriors, mostly low-level. But there are also over 100 elite warriors with intermediate-level skills, and 2 big kahunas with high-level skills. Cavalry laid it all out for his dad. As soon as he heard about the attack, he sent the Blue Moon City garrison to help, but they got their butts handed to them. That's how they got this intel. If the fish people hadn't been so keen on sticking around Blue Moon Lake, Blue Moon City might have fallen. This fish tribe is something else. Rennes squinted, tapping his fingers on the table, looking thoughtful. Nearly 1,000 low-level guys, hundreds of mid-level guys, and 2 high-level guys. These fish people were no joke. Even if you didn't count his own off-the-charts skills, the whole Habsburg military combined might not be able to take them. A fish tribe this strong couldn't be like the ones on the Roland continent, with their watered-down powers. They had to be from the ocean. Could the fish people be planning a comeback? Rennes wondered. That would be a bummer. Having an ocean-sized fish tribe pop up in his territory out of nowhere seemed a little too coincidental. It was easy to see them as the advance guard of a full-scale fish people invasion, but then again, maybe not. If they were really an advance guard, why would they bring over 4,000 weak, elderly fish people who couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag? What a waste of space. Whatever was going on, Rennes wasn't going to let it slide. Whether it was a full-blown invasion or not, these fish people had to go. Otherwise, Blue Moon City's fish industry was dead in the water, and his whole territory could be at risk. He asked his son, Cavalry, to find him a guide, then left the Lord's mansion with his night guards, heading towards Blue Moon Lake. Chapter 59, The Cavalry Guard Charges, Surprised by the Mermaid. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Blue Moon City was practically next door to Blue Moon Lake, maybe 6 miles away. A quick ride on those swift wind horses got Rennes and the others there in about 10 minutes. the lake was huge, stretching as far as the eye could see. A gentle breeze rippled the surface, reflecting the sunlight in soft blues and whites, really stunning. Down on the shore, these fish-headed creatures with feet were busy building houses out of mud and stone. And guarding them were a ton of fishermen warriors armed with stone and bone spears. Rough estimate: around 2,000 fishmen, give or take. This wasn't the whole tribe, though. Plenty more were hanging out under the lake. While Rennes was checking them out, the fishman soldiers spotted them. Goo. Gugula goo. Fishmen talk for humans. Killed them. Some elite fishmen led a charge, with hundreds of warriors rushing Rennes' group. Rennes just stood there, cool as a cucumber, not even bothering to lift a finger. These guys were too weak, he'd let his crew handle it. Guard cavalry, brace for a wall formation. Ramon, the knight captain behind Rennes, drew his great sword and barked out orders. In a heartbeat, the 20-plus elite knights had their warhorses lined up, shoulder to shoulder, with the captain in the center. Charge! Crush them flat. Lemon, looking serious as a heart attack, raised his sword and gave the signal. Instantly, those knights channeled their fighting spirit, juicing up their swift wind horses. Boom! 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 The horses, feeling that adrenaline kick, took off like rockets. Those knights, all decked out in armor, moved like one solid, unstoppable wall. Their momentum was terrifying. The fishmen, all numbers and no organization, were totally outmatched from the get-go. 10 seconds later, the cavalry slammed into them. Whack! Slash! Thump! Blood went flying everywhere. The knights were like a war machine, mowing down everything in their path. After that initial charge, more than half the fishmen were either dead or badly hurt. The elite fishman leading the charge got his head split in two. Gugugugugugugulaji, Fishman 4, these humans are tough. Civilians, get back to the lake and report to the high priest. Warriors, with me. The fishman leader, who'd been hanging back, freaked out when he saw his troops get wiped out. He grabbed the remaining 300 warriors and charged straight for Rennes. The 1,000-plus civilian fishmen, the builders and gatherers, dove into Blue Moon Lake and vanished. Charge! Seeing more fishmen coming, Knight Commander Lemon rallied his knights for another run, but this time, it didn't go so well. Jigula, fishmen, die, you damn humans! The fishmen leaders knew all about the knights' charging power. They immediately started chucking harpoons at Ramon, the lead knight. This fishman leader was an 8th-rank marine warrior. He had skills, and his harpoon throws packed a punch that rivaled a siege crossbow, maybe even stronger. Whoosh! That harpoon screamed through the air. In less than 2 seconds, it was bearing down on Ramon. Sensing death, Ramon threw up his shield, trying to block. The harpoon slammed into the steel shield with a brutal impact, punching right through it and hitting Ramon square in the chest. He went flying off his horse, but the shield and the armor soaked up some of the force, and since Captain Ramon was a tough 6th-rank knight, he only coughed up some blood. He was still in the fight. He got back on his feet, swinging his great sword and hacking at the fishmen swarming around him. Meanwhile, the other 20-plus knights were in trouble without their leader. They charged into the fishman ranks but quickly got surrounded, their momentum dying. Seeing his knights in a jam, Rennes jumped into action. He drew his storm greatsword and swung at the fishman leader. Swoosh! A deep blue arc of sword energy ripped through the air, cutting the fishman leader in half. It also took out a dozen elite fishman warriors standing nearby. 1, 2, 3. Rennes unleashed a dozen more of those storm sword strikes, wiping out the elite fishmen in the mob. Gurgle gurgle. Fishman, this human's a monster. He killed the captain and the leader. Let's get out of here. Seeing their commanders drop like flies, the remaining 200 warriors lost their nerve. Their eyes went wide with fear. They turned tail and ran towards Blue Moon Lake. Rennes didn't need to get involved anymore. A soldier without fight is as good as a lamb on the grill. The night guards continued their charge and slaughter. Blood was everywhere. If things kept going like this, not many of those fishmen would make it back to the lake. But then, this beautiful voice, filled with anger, rang out from the lake. Stop! The next second, the water on the surface of Blue Moon Lake parted. Thousands of fishermen warriors marched out. They were ready for a fight. leading them was a beautiful woman holding a staff. She was drop-dead gorgeous, with a fair complexion and deep blue eyes that looked like the sea, the kicker. Instead of legs, she had a fish tail, a mermaid. Chapter 60 Slaughtering the Murlocs, Submission of the Sea Shark Tribe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But her words didn't matter. Without Rennes' command, the night guard wouldn't stop. Giant wave spell. Seeing the knight still hacking away at her fleeing tribesmen, the mermaid snapped. She raised her staff, unleashing her magic. Suddenly, a wave towering over 30 feet high materialized out of nowhere. The impact sent over 20 knights flying. The fishmen seized the chance to dive into the water. Group Water Blade. After helping her people escape, the enraged mermaid unleashed another spell. She wanted to avenge the hundreds her people killed by the human knights. The surrounding water elemental energy rapidly coalesced into razor-thin water blades. Then, they shot toward Ramon and the others with incredible speed. This was a level 4 water-based area of effect spell. The high-speed water blades delivered lethal blows. Their cutting power was immense. Ramon and his men were helpless against such magic. Being hit meant certain death or severe injury, but Rennes wasn't about to let his carefully trained night guard get wiped out. He acted, focusing his internal energy. He used Void Rush, swiftly appearing in front of Ramon and the others. He raised his great sword and slashed upward at an angle. Instantly, a massive wind wall, hundreds of feet high, 60 feet wide, and several feet thick, rose up. Gale Sword Technique, Wind Barrier. The energy water blades, with their formidable cutting power, slammed into the rising wind wall, but it was no use. The 10-foot-thick wind wall was impenetrable. The relentless winds eroded the water blades, and they dissipated into nothingness after only penetrating a few feet. Seeing Rennes easily deflect her full-power attack, the mermaid's face turned grim. She hesitated to attack again, but she wasn't giving up. Even though Rennes was powerful, as the high priestess of the shark tribe, she had to get justice for her fallen tribesmen. I am Laligia, high priestess of the shark tribe. Why did you massacre my people? Laligia, the mermaid, stood atop a wave, her beautiful eyes like the sea, staring intently at Rennes. Why? You started it, didn't you? Blue Moon Lake is my territory. I own this land. You attacked my fishing grounds, invaded my territory. What did you expect? Rennes responded calmly. Laligia was speechless. She hadn't realized the lake belonged to someone and that this lord was so powerful. Realizing her mistake, Laligia didn't want to confront Rennes, but Blue Moon Lake was the shark tribe's hard-won home. She couldn't just give it up, so Laligia decided to propose a deal. Let's settle this. Our shark tribe will buy the rights to this lake with 10 boxes of magic pearls, permanently. Rennes was impressed by the fish tribe's wealth. Magic pearls in the Kingdom of Lance cost at least 100 gold coins apiece. Good ones went for hundreds. 10 boxes, with 1,000 pearls each, were worth millions of gold coins. But even with this generous offer, Rennes wasn't interested. He wouldn't sell his land to another race for money. Besides, Blue Moon Lake was crucial to his territory. It was going to be his aquaculture center. Selling it would ruin the progress he'd made at Blue Moon City. He wasn't that foolish. Plus, if he wiped out or subjugated the fish tribe, all those pearls would be his anyway. That was the ideal outcome, a win-win. Enough. You invaded my territory and caused me losses. Today, the shark tribe has 2 choices, death or submission. Choose. Rennes stated his terms. The fishmen erupted, their ugly faces contorted with anger and hatred. They looked ready to tear Rennes apart. Gua la ji li. Fish language, this human is too arrogant, wanting to enslave our shark tribe. Ji li la. Fish language, the shark tribe will never be slaves. Ji li gu lu. Fish language, kill this despicable lord. Even Laligia couldn't hide her anger. She found his demand outrageous, but as high priestess, she was calmer than the rest. She wasn't blinded by rage. She knew the other side was strong, at least her equal, maybe stronger. A fight would be devastating for the shark tribe. To avoid it, Laligia made one last attempt. Respected lord, our shark tribe doesn't submit to anyone. If you don't like our offer, name your price and negotiate. Suppressing her anger, Laligia spoke firmly, but Rennes cut her off. No more talk. Submit or die. Hearing this, the 1,000+ fish warriors behind Laligia snapped. Gurgle gurgle. Fish language, kill this arrogant human. Gurgle. Gila. Fish language, he insulted the shark tribe. Tear him to pieces. Instantly, thousands of fish warriors, red-eyed and armed, surged toward Rennes like a wave, a truly impressive sight. Ocean's blessing. Seeing her people charge, Laligia waved her staff, casting a buff on them. The sound of waves echoed above the fish warriors. Ocean's blessing increased their strength and speed, their combat power skyrocketed. Overconfident fools. Rennes remained unfazed. He didn't see the fishmen as a threat. A swarm of ants can't kill a dragon. As a level 12 legendary professional, these sub-level 10 fishmen were ants to him. When the fishmen got within 30 feet, Rennes moved. He raised his storm greatsword and swung it gently. The next instant, a giant tornado, half a mile wide and hundreds of feet tall, materialized. It swept towards the oncoming fishmen. Gale Sword Technique, Storm Dance. It was like a natural disaster. Ah! Chirp! Fishman language, help! Instantly, hundreds of fishmen screamed as they were sucked into the tornado. They were torn to shreds, and with the tornado's rampage, the death toll rose. At this rate, the fishmen would be wiped out. Shield of water. Seeing her people slaughtered, Laligia panicked. She frantically cast a water shield to block the tornado. But it was useless against the destructive hurricane. The shield lasted less than a second before disappearing. Laligia gritted her teeth and poured every ounce of magic she had into casting water shields again and again. Only then did she manage to dissipate the tornado, but before she could catch her breath, Rennes attacked again. Not bad. But can you handle this? Seeing his attack fail to wipe out the fishmen, Rennes didn't mind. He activated Dragon Fury again, channeling it into the Storm Greatsword. He swung the sword horizontally and vertically. Swoosh! Two deep blue sword energies, hundreds of feet long and incredibly sharp, burst through the air. They intersected, forming a cross. Gale Sword Technique, Cross Spiral Storm. The cross-shaped sword energy spun like a turbine. It tore into the remaining fishmen. Though its area of effect was smaller than the previous storm, its concentrated power made it dozens of times more destructive. It ripped the earth apart. It turned rocks to dust. The fishmen were turned to mist. Even the advanced Transcendent Fishman leader was obliterated. After the strike, the once dense Fishman ranks were in disarray. Gololiwaji. Fishman language, dead. They're all dead. Gololaguji. Fishman language, we can't win. This human is a demon. The surviving fishmen, now numbering just over 300, were terrified. They trembled, they dropped their weapons. Rennes had become an unbeatable demon. They no longer had the courage to fight. His attack had broken their will to resist. How can he be so strong? Seeing Rennes wipe out most of her warriors in one strike, Laligia felt a chill. It was as if the shark tribe had provoked a nightmare. Today might be the end of the shark tribe. Under the gaze of the remaining fishmen, Rennes raised his sword of destruction. He prepared to deliver the final blow. Seeing this, the mermaid high priest Laligia screamed in horror. Stop! Respected human, stop! The shark tribe submits.